What do you prefer to go by at events?
I tend to just like to go by Isaac.
Just go by Isaac.
Yeah.
No preference on nicknames or titles or anything like that.
None.
How long have you been in the SCA?
I started playing in '96.
Okay.
I've taken a 5-year break in that long stretch of time, and it was a little intimidating to come back after taking a break, but everybody welcomed me right back, and it was pretty easy to sort of pick up where I left off.
Excellent. Excellent. How did you come into the SCA?
Came into the SCA through a high school friend. Um, Her parents had played a long time ago and had stepped out when they had a family. And it was just somebody I ran into at high school and said, "Hey, you might be interested in this thing." And said the OU at Norman had a medieval fair. Why don't you come with us?
Okay.
And after that introduction and going to a couple events with them,
Was it like you were hooked instantly, or did it take some time to grow into it for you?
I was about hooked instantly.
Okay.
I've always been one that enjoyed crafting and making things, and just such a wide variety of skill sets in the SCA to pick and choose from just kept me coming back.
Yeah, yeah. There certainly is no lack of things to do if you're
No.
that inclined. What's your persona?
I really don't have one that's nailed down. I've floated through several different time periods. Currently, earlier period, sort of an Anglo-Saxon right now.
Okay.
I sort of fell in love with their illumination while I was doing some research into a project, and the garb's fairly simple to make, and I like simple.
Are you an officer, deputy? Do you have any sort of leadership role right now?
I'm currently a deputy archery marshal for the Barony of Wiesenfeuer. I've held other positions in the past, such as chronicler, archery marshal. There's probably a few others. I've autocrated events, so
Okay. One thing I want to point out a little bit of extemp here. I myself am a former archery marshal and I do archery. I noticed there's a lot of overlap between the archery community and the arts community. Do you see archery as having a large art to it? Is it an art for you, or do you see it just as a martial activity, something else you enjoy doing?
it's something else I enjoy doing. There is a lot of equipment you can make yourself in archery, and that might be part of the draw. Is you
Okay.
can make your own like gloves or quivers, belts, pouches, arrows.
Yeah.
Some people learn to make their own bows. So
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Let's talk a little bit about your skill sets within the society. What activities, locally at least, or however you want to define this, what activities do you most often participate in?
I'm pretty well known for my calligraphy and illumination. I got into that when one of my friends handed me a book and said, "I think you could do this," and that was in 2001.
Evidently, he was right.
She was right. That was Cat.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Do you have any awards that are of particular emotional significance to you?
So there's a few. Wiesenfeuer's Flamme d'Orleans holds a significant value for Master Orleans, who I regrettably never got a chance to meet. But ever since I started playing, I've heard nothing but great stories of the man. And yeah.
So it's something that you were so that someone that was spoken so well of that you would be associated with that caliber.
Yeah.
So, okay. If someone were to see you during a typical event during the day, what would you most likely be doing?
Probably chasing my kids, number one. hoping to be more on the archery field.
Okay.
Since the family decided that we all wanted to do that sort of as a whole early last year.
Okay.
So we're starting to do that a little bit more. Other than that, I'd probably be at a table somewhere where it's quiet, probably filling out award certificates or champion certificates or something.
On behalf of all the parents in the SCA, if you manage to find quiet with your crew, please share your secrets. Now, same question, but in the evening, after sunset, where would you most likely be run into or seen, if at all? Or with your family, do you guys call it a night early?
Mostly with 2 kids, one's 7 and one's 3 currently. We tend to do a lot of day tripping. We're hoping that we can change that and be more active now that they can listen and cooperate better with us. So this is our first big let's all go out and camp event. And so far it's going really well, and they're having a lot of fun and they're listening. So hopefully this evening we'll all be able to go see the drumming and the dancing and the bardic competition and everything else that's the evening activities.
Excellent, excellent. So you kind of, with your family situation, you're kind of reinventing how you approach the evening.
Coming back to the SCA with a family has really changed a lot of the dynamics.
Okay.
From when I played single and solo before.
Yeah, I can see that. But I imagine it's probably still fun, just in a different way, right?
Very fun in a different way. I get to basically re-see everything through the kids' eyes.
Okay, I can see that. What's something that, and I'm going to be a little more specific on this one, what's something you want people to know about you that they probably don't already know?
I'm really not sure.
Just kind of WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get?
I try to be...
Okay. So let me turn that question around. If I were to make a list of people and I had one sentence to summarize that person, and this was going to be given to someone who's never seen any part of this kingdom, how would you summarize yourself?
I wouldn't know where to begin.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
As a lot of artists seem to have from talking to them, I have that sort of imposter complex also where, it's that sort of, if they find out what I really like, will they still like me? But,
okay.
I guess at the same time, but my skills and my craft, it speaks for itself. So
True.
I'm my own worst enemy.
It's like you and I have said for a while now. Your caliber of work and your quality, while attached to your name, sometimes precedes your face.
Yes,
people will.
so.
They know who Isaac Bane is, then they see you and they get the face. They go, "Oh, you're him." And they could have, like, I've been talking to you for years, but I never got the name and the face tied in together.
And there's people that I've known for years that haven't associated the name with the face.
This is the world we live in, isn't it? Now I'm gonna guess I know what the answer to this one is, but what do you feel is one of your strongest skills in the SCA?
Strongest skills right now would be the calligraphy and illumination skill set.
Yeah. And of course, you're high off of, I think the ink is still wet on your charter for your elevation, so no surprise there. But still a fair point. What's something in the SCA you like to talk about?
Just sort of random history facts. There was a small group of us that stayed up till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning just talking about random bits of history trivia that we had all run across.
I've been part of those type of groups. I mean, I need to hang out with you more.
It was not on purpose.
It never is, but it's still fun.
Yes, it was very fun.
If someone wanted to walk up to you and talk to you at an event or a meeting or some SCA activity, and they didn't know you, how would you like them to approach you?
Just approach.
Just approach?
Yeah.
Walk up, say hi, offer a handshake?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might be sort of introverted, and I don't put myself out there a lot, but I do like to engage on more of a smaller scale.
Okay. Do you consider yourself approachable?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, being an introvert, I'm sure doesn't help in some cases, but
at the same time, you're not a boisterous 6'8" armor hulking, heavy weapons fighter. And I know people that wear that hat.
those giant teddy bears.
Yeah, but if you've never met them, they're not teddy bears. Could you talk a little bit about your relationships within the society, be they formal or social or friendship or mentorship or...
I've had several good mentorships. Unfortunately, it's people that have passed away recently or stopped playing. Made a lot of friends that have turned into family. People I really look up to and respect. So.
Let's kind of take a step back, bigger issues, and I know the peers of the known world, but specifically peers of the kingdom, are expected to have opinions on this. But if there was something in the current SCA or is there something in the current SCA rather, that you feel like should be changed in any way?
Sure, that's not something I want to get into and play with.
Okay.
I think in a lot of ways social media has been good as far as exposure goes, but there's also the bad side of the social media, and there seems to be a lot of just ruckus.
Very much a two-edged sword.
Yes.
Now, what do you feel is your biggest contribution to the society?
My biggest contribution would be to basically enhancing others people's dream.
Okay.
Mr. Svigdis, I had the opportunity to take a ride with Jarl Owen and his lovely wife, and now Mr. Svigdis, to an event down in Texas, and it was going to be a Laurel's Prize tourney where Owen's the Anstorra Book of Chivalry was going to be shown, and she got to spend quite a bit of time on the drive looking through it and reading from it, and she still talks about just how moving that event was.
Now, for the benefit of anyone who doesn't know the story, the Book of Chivalry, tell us a little bit about how that came to be and what your part in it was.
So, Jarl Owen got himself into a little bit of trouble, and as Jarl Owen's apt to do, when he makes amends, he goes big. So he decided that if he was going to be collecting a bunch of information and viewpoints from the other members of the Order of Chivalry on the different topics of chivalry, that he would put it into a book. And he went to now Mistress Nicolea and said, "This is what I want to do," and she in turn went, "We need to go talk to Isaac. He's done all the research." And I had done all the research. I was probably a few years off from actually moving forward on it, just due to scheduling. So when Owen approached me with this project, it jump-started a lot of the bookbinding I was looking into to actually making books.
So you took up the actual physical construction, the binding, the covers.
I planned out the general illumination that would be throughout the book. I helped come up with an idea of how to represent each person, their section, We settled on using their coat of arms so you could match who spoke for that segment of the book. I did the first section of the calligraphy and illumination. Nicolea did the second section. I troubleshooted any of the issues we were having, using period methods as much as possible, trimming pages, splicing in new pages, that type of stuff. And then I did get to take a very sharp stylus and stab holes in the pages, which is probably the most intimidating thing I've ever done.
That's a literally, pardon the phrase, cover to cover period bookmaking project, and that's, considering what you were building up to, that must have been, pardon the phrase, the holy grail of your work, magnum opus almost.
It was a very intimidating project just because I hadn't bound a book before. I was still researching book hardware, so I could really only give Nicolea just the basics of this is what I think's going on. You look at the pictures, you've done some metalworking more than I have. What do you think? And it was sort of intimidating. And the only book I did before that one was can I even do this? So I have his book was the second book I bound. Some of the materials we chose weren't historically accurate just due to cost. Like we used the modern Pergmanata vellum, which is plant-based material instead of animal skin. And I should have experimented more with binding with that because the glue didn't take. So the binding, while it's holding, it acts sort of like a broken book.
Gotcha. But it was well received by everyone who saw it, correct?
It's been very well received. It sort of lay dormant for about 3-4 years until Count Timo, I believe.
Oh, I wasn't part of that particular conversation. I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, and he started doing the shift circles with the readings from the book.
Now, and to give some scope for people who aren't familiar with the local situation, Owen's book, he did also self-publish it, a text version of that.
There is it is self-published on Amazon, and the three of us have actually been asked to sign people's copies, which that's another intimidating thing.
How does that feel? Please sign my copy of your book.
Sort of weird because it's usually Owen strutting down the hallway going, "We have another one."
That's Owen.
Yes.
That's Owen. And if you've never met Owen, the words larger than life don't even scratch the paint on this one. What is something new you'd like to try? Is there anything you haven't done yet that you kind of feeling like maybe you want to dip your foot in that particular pool?
I'm not sure just yet, but I'm sure I'll run across an art or a craft that I'll want to pick up.
It's just something new. And is your wife going to look at you like, are you nuts? Or is she the type to clear off the kitchen table and say, here, try it here?
She won't say that I'm nuts, but she'll probably jump right in with me.
Oh, excellent. Now, last but not least, and there's no pretense to this last question, but just to kind of reach out and poke different people, is there anyone you would like to see answer these questions for an interview?
Well, since we talked so much about him, Owen for sure.
And I have no trouble seeing Owen agreeing to this. I really don't. I guess the closing note I want to add is the inspiration for this was you of course have at least heard the name of Riccardo Di Pissa, the man who originally made the Sword of State. When he passed, someone was asking about him who hadn't met him, and the summary that stuck in my mind, that kind of the capstone for the whole explanation was he was a hero from a kingdom of heroes. And oh Lord, didn't we live up to it at that Gulf War? Some of the antics we pulled on the field. But is there someone? It doesn't have to be one person, and it doesn't have to be the most in any particular category. But is there a person or people who you feel like are heroes to you in the SCA, within the kingdom of heroes that is Ansteorra?
There are a lot of heroes in Anstorra. There are people that you hear the stories about. There's people that you just watch and them take the field. You can see it in the children running around.